Hey YouTube, so today we're going to talk about Villiger's After Dinner. This is a great tobacco. I took it on a trip out to Asheville, North Carolina last week, and the footage you're about to see was all filmed out there. Now before we get started, I'm going to show you what I'm smoking right now. I actually wish it was some after dinner, but I smoked through everything that I had. So I'm actually smoking some Bold Kentucky right now. I know a lot of you guys like it out there. It's really popular, gets good reviews, but to be honest, I'm not a big fan. To me, Bold Kentucky, it's a little bland. Now I like bland tobaccos. Wessex Burley Slice, crazy bland. I described it as tasting like grape nut cereal a long time ago in a video. So I like bland tobaccos, but if Wessex is grape nuts, this is more like cornflakes. And I'm the type of guy who would prefer grape nuts over cornflakes any old day of the week. Not giving up on it yet. I'm gonna enjoy my bowl here, my Tim Thorpe pipe. But while I'm smoking it, I'm gonna transport you out to Asheville, and we're gonna talk about after dinner. So you don't see a lot of coverage or a lot of posts about after dinner for whatever reason. So I was all prepared to launch this video by saying after dinner is an underrated tobacco. But that's not true. Because when I looked it up, after dinner actually scores at 3.7 on tobacco reviews. So the reality is, I think it's a fairly rated tobacco. What it is it's underappreciated. So what kind of blend is this? Well, it's actually designated as a vapor. And the one-line description here says it's mature flea-cured Virginias with an aromatic burley spiced with Perique. Doesn't really sound that original. It's the same three components we've heard over and over again, but it says aromatic burley. And so that does tell me there is a topping here. And the more I smoke it, the more it's noticeable, but not noticeable in a bad way. That topping is so slight, I think it's just a pinch, and it's just enough to set it apart. You know, I'm talking to you guys out there that have had 70 plus different tobaccos, and that may be a majority of you that are watching this. And you know how hard it is to get surprised because you've had, you know, so many different combinations of tobaccos, and there are ones that stand out a little bit here and there, but you feel like it's kind of hard to surprise you within your subgenre that you really like, say vapors. Well, this is a vapor that surprises me, hands down. And I think it has to do with that little bit of topping that, again, tastes organic, it tastes natural, it tastes like a natural spice. It does not taste artificial. So it's a great tobacco. Another thing I'll say about it is it's consistent. This is probably my third tin in over a year. I never smoked through it within 1 week, so I've always kind of had it around, always kind of returned to it several times a month, and it's just rock solid consistent. It's right up there in consistency with Wessex Burley Slice, and this is kind of the bedrock for me in terms of consistency. I don't smoke it that often, but when I do, it's always the same experience. All right, so now for the tasting. I think the best thing I can do is probably describe it by comparing it to two other vapors that most of you have heard of or most of you have tried, and that is Escudo and Dunhill Elizabethan. Now, I'll go on record and say that although Escudo is very popular, I know a lot of guys like it, I personally don't. I've had it, and it's just too raw for me. It's too bright. It's very similar, in my opinion, to Orla Golden Slice. Just a little too much hay, a little too raw. And when I compare Escudo to Dunhill Elizabethan, I like Elizabethan a lot more because there's more flavor there for me. It's a little more browned, a little more mellow, and a little more sweet. Kind of similar to this right here, the Solani vapor. Now when I compare both Elizabethan and this to after dinner, this is a flavor bomb in comparison to those two. And again, it's artificially boosted by the little bit of topping, but again, it doesn't taste artificial. Maybe, you know, there's so much flavor here, maybe that's why I rarely smoke it back to back in the same day. It's not really an all-day smoke. But if you want to taste something, if you want to taste what I think, or what I would hope for the best batch of Virginia to ever taste like, I'd go with after dinner. I don't know if Virginia can ever taste like that organically, but that's what I want Virginia to taste like. Because what I'm smoking right now is the Solani 633 vapor. And this one, I would say, is somewhere in between Escudo and Elizabethan. It is a little more bright, but in my opinion, it's much more refined than Escudo is. I actually really like this one for being kind of a bright vapor. I would put this right there with Elizabethan. Very different animal. Elizabethan's darker, this is brighter. But again, even compared to this, I'm gonna choose After Dinner. It's still that flavor bomb. Can't really compete with it. All right, so it's about an hour later. I'm on my second bowl of After Dinner, and I want to tell you my thoughts. The second bowl is almost identical to the first one, except I can pick out just a little bit more of the topping, and by a little bit, I'm talking microscopic. I can pull out just a little bit of a Lakeland type flavor that, you know, we all know that Lakeland is kind of a little bit of a soapy flavor, but this is nothing close to Best Brown number 2, which I also like, which is also kind of a light Lakeland flavor, but just way in the background, I can pick out just a little bit of Lakeland. Still a nice, dark, rich Virginia flavor coming through. The word that comes to mind is just refined. It just tastes really refined. So doing side-by-side comparisons is always challenging, but that's what I'm kind of doing right now. I still have half a bowl of After Dinner, and I just packed about a quarter bowl, maybe a third of a bowl, of the Solani 633 in this corn cob here. And it's never completely objective because whatever you smoked first kind of colors your palate, but I'm going to do my best. Because I was a little bit sweetened out from the After Dinner, this 633 is refreshing in the lack of sweetness. And although I was, talking yesterday about how I didn't like a lot of hay, now I want hay, and I want hay because I've had too much sweetness. So, it's such a roller coaster, this hobby. As soon as you think you got something pegged, you realize you don't have it pegged. But I think you guys picked this up from the last segment. These are all great tobaccos. They all have a place on a certain day when you're in a certain mood and you want a certain taste. And the challenge is trying to predict what blend is going to deliver the experience that you want at that time on that day. And right now it's 633. And this is really good. This is what I want now. So, in closing, let me find it here. In closing, I guess I would say I'm going to put After Dinner away today, and I'll probably reach for it by the end of the week and start the cycle all over again. And it'll be fun because I'll want sweetness a week from now. I'm going to reach for it. It's going to do its job. I might go to my Burleys. I might go to other tobaccos. Might reach for a Latakia blend. I might reach for the 633. And just keep exploring the path. All right, well, that's it for today, guys. That stuff's really good. I would usually edit moments like this out, but I'm not going to today. Just looking back on a fun vacation. Had a great time. Smoked a lot of great tobaccos. And we'll do so again tomorrow. All right, so with that, I'll say thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next month. Take care.